Welcome back to the Kenyan High Schooler. This is from KCC to Civil Engineering, and in this focus, we focus on the Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. And this is the Kenyan High Schooler. Let's get started. As always, in our videos, we start by asking ourselves a few questions. And number one, what is civil engineering as a career? And am I ready for it? The second question, what are the admission requirements to study it in Kenya? The third question, what are the costs and where can I enroll? Fourth, what are the stages and duration of pursuing this degree? And the fifth, what career opportunities and specialties can one explore in the field? Let's get into it right now. So what is civil engineering as a career? Civil engineering basically focuses on designing, constructing, and maintaining infrastructure such as roads, bridges, buildings, dams, and water systems. Okay, so if I am to take this as a course, what do I expect? Number one, I expect core subjects, e.g., specialized topics like structural engineering. This is a branch of civil engineering that focuses on designing and analyzing structures like buildings, bridges to ensure they are strong and stable. Okay, then we have fluid mechanics. You'll also learn this, which is the study of how liquids and gases behave, which helps in designing systems like water supply, drainage, and dams. Okay, you also learn about transportation engineering, where is a field that deals with planning, designing, and managing transportation systems like roads, railways, and airports. Then we also talk about construction materials, which are materials that are used in building infrastructure such as concrete, steel, wood, and things like asphalt, etc. etc. You also expect to practice learning on hands-on project like building models or designing systems. Okay, you also expect to have computer skills like learning software like AutoCAD, which is a software used by engineers for creating a precise 2D and 3D drawings of structures and systems. You also expect to solve problems because you'll be tackling real world challenges such as the environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability basically is designing projects in ways that protect the environment and conserve resources for future generations. Okay, and you also expect to teamwork, you collaboration with other architects, planners, and other engineers because it is not just a field that you would expect to do things alone. Okay, so on-site activities you have to ensure that you have done them to the very core, on-site activities and so forth and so on. So what are some of the myths that you expect to do that you have been hearing but they are not true? One of them is that it is about manual labor on construction sites, and the reality is that while such site visits are important, most civil engineers actually focus on planning, designing, and managing projects in offices and labs. Okay, that is important to note. Some other people say that civil engineering is outdated compared to other fields. The reality is that civil engineering actually constantly evolves with the new technologies like smart cities. You've heard of the Tatu and the Konza cities and all that, green buildings and earthquake resistant structures. So you'll be me witness, civil engineering is not an outdated field. Okay, so after I fall in love with civil engineering, what next? Let's check. But okay, before that, sorry, we have another myth that it is a men-only profession, and the reality is that it is open to everyone, and many women are actually thriving in this particular field. So, I have fallen in love with civil engineering. What are the admission requirements? The admission requirements are as follows. The first one is a direct entry, which is very, very common. This is through COOPS, whereby you have to have a minimum KCC grade of a B plus or an A minus. However, it is important to note that in the books, or you'll find it is written even in their portals, that with a C plus you can actually do it, which is okay. But the problem is the competition. Competition is rare, and therefore we urge you to score highly. And that's why we've said that the mid grade should be at least a B plus or an A minus according to the university. Okay, so how is this competition going to throw you off the balance if you don't score highly? This is how COOPS will calculate your points. COOPS is an organization that places students after KCC according to their competitive value and whether they have met the minimum requirements. Okay, so how do they calculate your points? One, they will use raw marks. Okay, they will use raw marks, and we talk about raw marks. Talk about we have two people who have scored an apron. For instance, one has an apron of 85 points, the other one has an apron of 100 points. those two airplanes cannot be the same when it comes to cutoff points. Okay, because those raw marks that only NEC and COOPS will get access to are going to really affect this particular cutoff points, and this is what is going to make you be selected as a government sponsored student or being thrown out because of that competition. So those points are calculated using the overall grade, and that's why we are saying you should score highly, maybe an A84, an A83, an A52, so forth and so on. Then they will go to have a cluster subject. Cluster subjects are subjects that are set aside by the regulatory body of a particular degree. So those who are taking this particular subject are able to meet those requirements. And in this case, for you to actually do civil engineering, you have to score a B plus or higher in at least these mandatory subjects. One, because of the competition, and two, because of those minimum requirements. So you must have done English or Kiswahili. It is a must. One of them, and not only doing them, but also scoring a B plus or higher, at least for you to be competitive in one of them, at least in one of them. Okay. Mathematics is a mandatory subject, and as you can see, you must at least have a B plus minimum. Physics the same. It is mandatory. If you don't get this B plus and higher, competition is going to really hit you. Of course, they will say C plus, but competition is what is going to eliminate you. And then for the other class subject, they will take any other best subject. Maybe it was business, it was whatever it is, geography, and so on and so forth. That's what will form the fourth cluster subject. Okay, so these four subjects are very key and mandatory for you to actually pursue civil engineering in whatever university that you will be getting into, and that is what will generate the points. Okay, so other alternative pathways whereby we have diploma holders. For instance, someone in diploma in civil engineering with a can be able to actually pursue civil engineering if that person had a credit or a distinction. Okay, we have degree holders, bachelor degrees in an engineering field. We also allow one to pursue Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. Those foreigners, you must meet equivalent qualifications in your high school system, in GA levels, and the international system, and all that. Then you have to obtain a certificate of equivalency from NEC. NEC will actually be able to transfer those points that you had in those other school systems to the Kenyan system. You also have to show proficiency in English, and you have to apply directly to the university. This is something that we usually advise. Just go directly to the university, apply, and that will be good for you. So I have made the admission requirements. What next? Where am I going to study? So we have universities that actually offer civil engineering in Kenya, both public and private. So public, we have the UON, Moi University, KU, Egerton, JKUAT, Maseno University, TUK, University of Eldoret, and then Multimedia University. Then for the private universities, we actually have Strathmore, Mount Kenya, Kabarak, and then we have Leicester University. And some others that I have not mentioned, but these are the major ones that actually offer civil engineering in Kenya. So, how are you going to get enrolled into these universities? You can get enrolled in this university only using two methods, and the first one is through COOPS, as you said. You can either get in as a government sponsored student, okay, through COOPS, or if the competition is too tough and you are thrown off the balance, you can get through what we call self-sponsored a student, okay, by now you can either be a local or a foreigner. So locals are basically Kenyans, foreigners, of course, you know what I mean by that. So that is it. So let's get a bit into detail with how this will work out. That is the sponsorship aspect of it. So how does the sponsorship work? We have what we call government sponsorship, okay, and then we have what we call quota per university. So each public university has a limited number of government sponsored slots, usually allocated by COOPS. Okay, so the number varies yearly based on national need and funding. For instance, the University of Nairobi may admit only 100 government sponsored students, while smaller universities will admit 50 to 70 students. You get that? That means that if you don't get to the 100, then the competition throws you off. So if you apply to go to UON to do civil engineering and you don't really score highly, you don't have that airplane. For instance, if we have 100 students who have airplanes and you have your A-minus, you have your B plus, you may not get to get civil engineering in UON because you see if the slots are only 100, they will only give to the 100 best. Same case to the 50 or 70. That's why I'm saying that sometimes it is not your fault, but work hard if you can to get those high grades. Okay, private universities will only admit self-sponsored students. That is important to note as well. So what happens for the self-sponsored? Again, you'll be fully funded by your parent, guardian, or a financial institution. You have to apply directly to the university, and you'll have to apply early, as we usually say. Okay, because again, because of this competition, even on the self-sponsor, don't sit down and say, these people will have money, so they cannot throw off someone who, wants to apply through self-sponsorship. My friend, you will be in for a road shock. These slots are even limited for the self-sponsored. Come first, come, serve basis is there, so ensure you apply early in as much as you still expect hopes. In as much as you still have faith in hopes, continue and apply sponsorship so that just in any case you'll be able to get a spot. Okay, so how does the cost look? Again, this is just a it is not really something that is static. It keeps on varying. So from 200,000 to half a million Kenyan shillings. This is only tuition fees. Of course, you have other costs, e.g., housing, you know, issues to do with food, and other miscellaneous costs that are not really in the tuition fees. So continue checking their websites. These are public information. You'll always find them there. So once you are sponsored, you are now in the university. What's the duration of this degree? The standard duration is 5 years, which includes a compulsory industrial attachment. Okay. So how does the breakdown goes? We have what we call core courses. These are things that you have to study in the course of the 5 years. You study what we call structural analysis. Okay. This is a study of how structures like buildings or bridges will handle force and loads. Okay. You also study fluid mechanics, which is the science of how fluids, that is liquids and gases, move and behave. You study soil mechanics. It's the study of soil properties and how soil interacts with structures. You also study what we call transportation engineering that we talked about, designing and managing systems like roads, railways, and airports. You talk about material sciences, which is the study of materials properties and their suitability for construction. You study environmental engineering, which is the solutions to environmental problems like water and air pollution. You also do engineering management, which is overseeing engineering projects, including planning, budgeting, and leadership. You also have to do electives, which is specialist courses like water resource management, which is basically managing water supplies and systems, sustainably. Geotechnical engineering, which is the study of other materials for construction purposes, and environmental impact assessment, which is evaluating how projects will affect the environment before they start. Okay. Then finally, you'll do an industry attachment, which is typically undertaken in the third or fourth year for the hands-on experience in engineering projects. So this is something that you will do as an industry attachment. Good. So from there we go to the graduation timeline. So you've studied how is the graduation like. Of course, you will start the program in basically September of the admission year. Then after 5 years, you will graduate in November or December of your final year. Then you'll earn the title as civil engineer. So after that now, remember, you are just but a graduate engineer. You will not be a certified engineer at that point in time. You will not be a certified engineer. So how do you become a certified engineer? In order for you to do the engineering work independently, because you cannot do engineering work independently. You cannot do a construction independently if you're not certified. So what is the path? The path is, first of all, you earn a degree. Which is this degree? A Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from an Engineering Board of Kenya accredited university. All those universities I stated have been accredited as of 2024. Okay. Then register with the Engineers Board of Kenya. So how do you register? You apply for registration as a graduate engineer. Remember, you've done your 5 years, you've even gotten your degree, but you're not yet a certified engineer. That's kind of irony for it. Okay. Then you will submit academic credentials and proof of completion of an accredited program. Then from there, you will now gain what we call gain work experience. This is where the rubber meets the road. Because you have to complete at least 3 years, sometimes it is 2 years, of supervised work experience under a professional engineer. And also I said sometimes you'll find that we have more than 100,000 graduate engineers who are not yet certified. Why? Because we have very limited professional engineers who can take up the very large number of graduate engineers who need to work under them for them to be able to gain the work experience that is required. Okay. So after that, you have to develop skills in practical civil engineering applications, which now will make you to have to undergo to go the professional exams and registration. You have to pass the EBK professional review exam. Then you will apply for the registration as a professional engineer. Then from there, you have what to call certification and licensing. okay, whereby you have to receive a practicing license from EBK. You will join the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, that is IEK, for networking and professional growth. And by that, you will now be a certified engineer and you can be able to stand by yourself, stand alone, and do these particular courses. And anything that comes, you can be able to take any job in this particular field. Okay, so what next after my degree? As you can see, there is so much you can do with this degree. Okay, so let's just mention a few areas here and there of specializations. You can actually specialize with structural engineering, which is focusing on the design and the analysis of buildings, bridges, dams, and other structures. We've talked about that. You can also specialize in geotechnical engineering, which is specializing in the behavior of other materials and foundation systems. You can specialize with transportation engineering, which is now the designing and managing transportation systems, including roads, railways, and what most people actually know civil engineering deals with out here. You can go on to deal with water resource engineering, where you manage water related projects like dams, water treatment plants, and flood management systems. You can decide to be an environmental engineer, where you focus on it and project aimed at improving environmental sustainability and so forth and so on. You can decide to go to employment in government and private sector, where you work with government ministries to come up with policies and or even engage in public infrastructure projects, e.g., road construction and so forth and so on. You can go on to deal with corporate clients, that is, you specialize in areas such as design, project management with these corporate clients as well, that is the private sector. You can decide to have your engineering consultancy, where now this is what is the main thing out here, because now you can start your own engineering firm, and in this capacity you provide expert advice. You design the services and project management for construction and infrastructure development projects, and there's a lot of advantages because there's greater flexibility in the projects you choose to work on. There's potential for higher earnings through private contracts, and even opportunities to work both local and international. Okay, you can say to be to take project management and leadership roles. You become a project manager, where you oversee civil engineering projects from start to finish. You manage the budgets and timelines and the teams. Okay, or you become a construction manager, where you manage large scale construction projects, including site operations, subcontractors, and compliance. Or become a director of engineering, whereby you lead engineering departments in large corporations, advising on strategic decisions and long-term plans. Okay, you can decide to teach civil engineering, whereby you become a lecturer, like you are. You have lecturers. So this is also a field you can decide to get into. You can decide to go into entrepreneurship, whereby you have a construction company. Okay, so you specialize in residential or commercial development, or decide to have technology startups, whereby you offer engineering solutions or software for project management and construction. Okay, and this of course will you'll have to innovate within the construction and engineering industries. Finally, we have so many international opportunities out here, whereby you look for opportunities abroad. Countries like Canada, the US, Australia, the UK have high demand for the skilled engineers. Okay, so you have to research, you apply for the international engineering positions, ensuring that your qualifications are recognized in that particular target country. Okay, so some countries may require you to sit for additional exams or provide verification of education and professional experience. Of course, you will have higher salary potential, given exposure to large and diverse international projects if you decide to go the international way. So as you've seen, we have so many things you can do with that degree, making it a very lucrative career to actually get into. And therefore, what is my advice? My advice simply is civil engineering is an excellent career. Go for it and success in your endeavors. Thank you very much for watching to this very end. Ensure to subscribe, like, comment, so to be able to continue impacting the community out here. Don't forget that subscription, that button just down below there, saves a lot. Just do it for us, and you're going to be informed of better content like this in the future. See you next time.